So, hypothetically speaking, say there was this girl you liked for years, like ever since you both were in school, and you even dated, but then that girl says, "Would you be hurt if I went out with someone else?" she said. Now, a few years later, she says she might be getting married to some other guy that's not you. Yes, that's right, Nishi. Married. He decides to say nothing, and instead they go to her sister's restaurant. And that's when it's her new guy. You notice he's bigger than you, he's taller than you, he's better built than you are. But worst of all, he's not a bad guy. He poured you a drink earlier, and now he's talking to your ex about the next Ford F-150 he's gonna buy. You start thinking, maybe she'll be happier with him and his stability than with me and my nipple shirts. But just as you had the thought, the strange man pulls out a gun. No, but it's fine. Her new guy can handle. Dang it, new guy! Well, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to die. I guess I'll sit tight for now and wait for him to... Okay, horrible situation all around, but now it's do or die. No other options. Do it, Nishi. You're not scared. The stage is set. Win back your girl, Nishi. Say something cool. Embarrassing. You know, this was a very short part of the video, but in the movie, it was a lot longer. Try 20 minutes. I actually thought this was going to be the central idea of the movie. I miss the me who was able to think that way. So listen, he actually dies, is forced to watch the replay, meets God, which to him looks like this and this and this, but God actually has a date, so he can't stick around for too long. You go over there, because you're dead and need to disappear forever. I will go over here, because I have a hot date to get to, God says. Nishi doesn't want to disappear. He went out via gunshot between the cheeks in front of his girl. So he turns around and runs toward the blue portal. God turns into a cheetah and says, "You won't make it. You're gonna disappear." Nishi says, "No." Rewinds time, comes back to life, and then he... What are we talking about? The amount of time it took me to put a finger on what I was watching is genuinely embarrassing, oh my gosh. 1995, a guy named Robin Nishi decided to embark on a journey of making the most coherent, incoherent mess of an amalgamation about things and stuff personified, and he decided to call it Mind Game. What I showed you earlier was the first 30 minutes of the movie, which have, I kid you not, almost nothing to do with the last 30 minutes. Compared to everything else that happens, this is like the second most normal part of the movie. You think I'm lying? Half of it takes place inside a whale. Why? If continuity or an uber deep story is what you're looking for, don't watch this. It was a feat for me to even follow the story, let alone find any real consistency or set of rules the world works under. For example, let's go over what's actually told to us in this movie. We know this girl's name is Mion. We know she has a sister, and we know they're on the run from debt collectors and that their parents aren't with them anymore. We know this guy's name is Nishi, and that he still likes Mion despite them only dating in high school. Now, as for everything else we know, this movie has nothing to do with whales, huh? We just figure it out. Trying to discern between what's real versus purely animation is kind of the name of the game here. Mind Game was said to likely be an animation experiment, so it makes sense why it looks like this and also this at the same time. But while the look of this movie can be creative, I think the story is even weirder than the animation. For instance, they have a lot of concepts that only get used like once. You remember the God guy from earlier? Yeah, he never shows up again. There's also this superhero, I think, show that does keep showing up, but only to show off this hero's one ability that I'm pretty sure only gets used like once, or maybe twice with no explanation. Essentially, this whole thing is nonsense, and 90% of the time, trying to make sense of nonsense is pointless. But even though I knew that, the very simple question I'd keep asking was why? Why did that happen? Why'd he do that? Why are Nishi's nipples visible for 100% of this movie? This anime off rip, and especially without context, makes less than no sense. And I knew I couldn't be the only person who thought that, so I went online to validate my feelings as one does, but when I did, I noticed this movie had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 100. While I was twiddling my thumbs for 30 minutes trying to figure out what was even happening, there were people posting online about how this film was beautiful and thought-provoking, and how High Flow Cricket ubiquitously changed their life for shizzles. Who was the intended audience for this anyway? These comments with this score actually made me step back for a second and ask myself, who was watching this? What I mean by that is, like, what type of person? I can tell that all of us like the movie, but I'd never describe it as assorted visual treatments rendered in relative degrees of awkwardness and artfulness. I don't even know what half that means. My love for it mostly came from shock value. I didn't plan on talking about it like it was some multifaceted commentary on how one should live their life to the fullest. I planned on describing it in 2 words, muy funny. But reading these makes me feel like maybe I missed a fundamental part of the film. This was my first anime back after an unintentional break I took from it, so maybe my anime literacy was still a bit low. And as I sat on that thought, I just kept thinking back on what parts of that anime I actually remembered. The conversation these two had during a walk in the rain. The part where they first got stuck in this whale I've been whining about all video, and they had this little silly moment where they acted like they were back in grade school. And the parts I remembered after the dust settled made me realize that number one, I'm a pretty boring guy, huh? But also that there actually is something I missed here, isn't there? So I folded. I decided to read the manga. And that would have been time better spent doing literally anything else. I thought the movie was an acid trip, but what is this? This is why I don't look into things. So Mind Game the manga is a whole different beast. And I should have expected it when I had to go to the Internet Archives to kind of read it. It's in French. And instead of a series of panels, it was a series of pictures somebody took on their phone from probably like a decade ago. So in the manga, quite a few things are noticeably different. For instance, the car that Nishi hijacks actually has a roof. Then after that, instead of Nishi and the girls using the car and ramping off the side of a truck just before getting eaten by a whale like how they do in the movie, they actually drop the car in the ocean and continue fleeing by boat. Eventually, they still do end up getting eaten by the whale, at which point Nishi turns into a... Okay, what are we doing? I can't tell if this is real and actually happened or if it's another over-the-top trippy vague metaphor, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Things like this keep happening. Like, not just the butterfly thing, but just things. So many things that sometimes it feels like I'm reading a completely different story. And I'm not even the only one that feels like this. There was this person documenting their reading experience, and by the end of the manga, they were questioning if the entire whale part that was the majority of the movie was even real. And that seems like an insane thing to wonder about until you realize Mind Game is genuinely spontaneous enough to where 70% of the story just never having happened is not impossible. It's completely within the realm of possibilities, which is why I never wanted to watch, read, or engage with the story again, like ever. But purely because I knew I was going to make this video, I conjured the last of my patience and gave the movie one last watch. And it was beautiful. Driving in my car. I never did think the movie was bad. I loved it. I just wouldn't touch it with an 8-foot pole because I was afraid it might jump out and attack me. But now I understand. These really are assorted visual treatments rendered in relative degrees of awkwardness and artfulness, and I can't believe I didn't get it before. I probably sound like I'm being pretty sarcastic right now, and I kinda am. I'm exaggerating a bit, but I wasn't joking when I said I watched it again, and it was actually better the second time. Maybe it was the headspace I was in. Or maybe it was the 1.5 times speed, I don't know, but either way, the movie is so good. You're gonna watch it once, forget about it, remember it, not stop thinking about it, then have to watch it again to get it completely out of your system, and even then, you're still not gonna understand a lot of it. I don't. But in the wise words of commenter Simon Abrams, just relax and let Yuasa take you wherever the heck he wants. I'm off.